Hello, in this video we will discuss about the types of endocrine stimuli. So the stimulus is a single word and the stimuli is a plural. So we will discuss about the type of endocrine gland stimuli. So what is endocrine hormones? First of all, we should need to understand what is endocrine hormones. So let's begin to understand. For example, the gland or tissue which that is contain a receptor, and the receptor will bind with the ligands, any type of stimulator or inhibitor. So in this way, it will stimulate to exocytosis of the vesicle, which that contain a substance, a molecule is known as hormone, which that will change the physiology of the other tissue, other gland, and this is the blood vessel. So endocrine hormone require the blood circulatory system for the changes of the physiology of the other tissue. So here is the binding with the target tissue. After this binding, the cell will lead to grow or inhibit the growth, and differentiation or inhibition the differentiation, proliferation as well as homeostasis or exocytosis of the other hormone for target to the other tissue for normal physiology. So that is the homeostasis in our body with the normal function of the endocrine stimulus. So this is the type of endocrine gland stimuli is humoral stimuli, humoral stimulus, neural stimulus, hormonal stimulus. So first of all, we should need to understand the humoral stimulus. Next, we will discuss neural and hormonal. So the humoral stimulus mean the stimulus it can not hormone or other ligand, but the changes of the blood circulatory system, the physiology changes, which that will lead to trigger the glands to production of hormone. For example, this is the calcium in our body. So the capillary blood contain low concentration of calcium as compared to the normal. So in this way, the humoral stimulus is the calcium, which that is the less amount of calcium will trigger the parathyroid gland posterior view here. So the parathyroid gland stimulation to produce the parathyroid hormone into the blood circulatory system. So this is the endocrine hormone. So after this entering the absorption of the calcium from the dietary calcium intake from the digestive system will absorb, and the degradation of bones and osteoclast activity increase lead to calcium increase in the blood circulatory system. So this is the degradation phase of the bones also, and phosphate group also increase. And on the other hand, if we will discuss about the kidney, this is the nephron, which that is the reabsorption of the calcium after the filtrate from the filtrate will be increased. So the reabsorption of the calcium. So this is the kidney, which does contain adrenal gland and kidney and ureter. So the urinary system, unit of the urinary system is the nephron, contain proximal convoluted tubule, loop of Henle distal convoluted tubule and collecting duct, and the afferent and efferent arteriole, glomerulus and Bowman capsule. So let's begin to understand the neural stimulus. What is this? So the preganglionic sympathetic fibers stimulate adrenal medulla cell, for example. So which that will lead to neural stimulation. So neural stimulation is the central nervous system which that trigger during the fight and flight response. So the sympathetic nervous system activation. This is a stimulus can be fear, stress, and received through brain higher cortex will transmit the signal to nerve impulse toward the spinal cord, will target to the adrenal gland, adrenal medulla. So this is the dorsal root of ganglion and ventral root of ganglion. So the ventral root of ganglion is involving the neural stimulus. So this is the gray matter and white matter of the spinal cord cross section. So the sympathetic activation will lead to activate the adrenal medulla via a synapse of the preganglionic sympathetic fiber. So in this way, the cortex is here, and this is the adrenal gland, which that is the medulla contains receptor, which that is synapse with via a tissue and nerve, which that is release the adrenal gland to catecholamines. These catecholamines involve epinephrine and norepinephrine, which that will lead to vasoconstriction and vasodilation of the blood vessel. For example, near the digestive system, the vasoconstriction will be occur, so that the digestive system will be inhibit for the digestion, so rest and digest will be inhibit, while the increase of the vasodilation in the peripheral part of the body will lead to increase the blood pressure as well as the sweating. So on the other hand, next we will discuss about the hormonal stimulus, that is important. So let's here I am drawing the pituitary gland, which does contain a hypothalamus. So number one is the neurosecretory cell are present in the hypothalamus. After the triggering from the higher brain cortex will lead to stimulus secrete neurostimulation to release hormones from the hypothalamus to the pituitary gland, adenohypophysis or neurohypophysis. Adenohypophysis release the growth hormone, adrenocorticotropic hormone, and the gonadotropin releasing hormone. On the other hand, is a lot of hormone produced, while the neurohypophysis produce the oxytocin as well as the antidiuretic hormone, which that is through a nerve stimulation and will lead to enter the blood circulatory system. But the stimulate the anterior pituitary gland to stimulate the secondary hormone. So the secondary hormone stimulation, which that will lead to, for example, target to the thyroid stimulating hormone, will stimulate the thyroid gland to produce thyroxine and triiodothyronine, which that is basically maintain homeostasis of the energy intake and expenditure of energy and metabolism, while the adrenocorticotropic releasing hormone will target to the adrenal cortex will release the cortisol during the stress response, and the follicle stimulating hormone will stimulate the gonads, female and male, for production of testosterone as well as estrogen and progesterone. So this is the stimulates other cell and gland to secrete hormones. So that is known as the hormonal stimulus, because hormone to stimulate the more hormone from another gland. So this was the type of endocrine stimuli. Thanks for watching. Please make sure to